So today I'm going to be talking about Jeffrey Dahmer. So let's jump right into it. If you were ever curious to know what products I'm using on my face, I list everything down in the description box down below. 2013, I started my YouTube channel and was mainly just makeup focused. 2019 is when I started my murder mystery and makeup YouTube channel. And I started it because I was so invested in the Chris Watts case, which took place in late 2018. And I just didn't have anyone in my life that I could talk to about this case. So I thought maybe a viewer or subscriber out there is also invested in this case like I am. So I made that video in January 2019. Talking about Chris Watts, doing my makeup, and then it blew up. So finally Chris arrives and different clips of him walking up to the house, and he's just kind of like walking all slow-mo. I was just shocked. I couldn't understand where these people were coming from. So then I just continued doing it, and it would just keep going up and up and up. And now my Monday videos roughly get anywhere from 450,000 views to over 1 million. It just depends on, how famous, I guess, or well-known the person I'm talking about is. Today we're going to talk about Aileen Wuornos. I feel like I say her name weird. I've been practicing. Aileen Wuornos was born in Rochester, Michigan on February 29th, 1956.
There is just so much true crime content out there these days that you have to do something almost weird or different to get attention. So maybe people think, if I eat food or put makeup on during my video, that'll get some sort of attention and people will tune in, and perhaps their motivations are still genuine in that they love crime and they want to talk about crime and, share the stories.
The true crime community is a collection of channels whose content explores people and events related to actual crimes. And this is a community of channels that is roughly, we would say, over 300 channels. Videos viewed by these channels topped 2 billion views last year. And the community itself is also very disparate. There are people who do podcasts, people who are just doing vlogs, documentaries, and even, oddly enough, ASMR.
Today we will be talking about the disappearance of Kayla Berg.
I really enjoy ASMR before I go to bed. I like the whispering and the gentleness of it. But what if I could bring both? Like something I'm really interested in a more relaxing way. So I did one video and, it didn't really do great at first. But then about a month later, I was looking at my statistics and I realized that true crime video was doing 10 times better than any other video on my channel. I think that ASMR true crime is kind of becoming a big thing now. I'm seeing it more and more on YouTube. And it's just a softer, more gentle way to kind of give the information to people. And I know that some people say, I really like true crime, but I'm so anxious that I can't have somebody telling it to me in a way that my anxiety is through the roof. And so where it's more of a gentle whisper story, I think people really like it.
You guys, this case was requested over on Patreon. I had never heard of it before. And just buckle up. We are about to go on a crazy ride.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Savannah. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another true crime episode here on my YouTube channel. Just as a quick reminder, I do have a podcast version of this video that you are about to see, as well as a lot of my previous true crime videos. I have a podcast. It's called Killer Instinct.
When I first started my podcast, I took the videos off my channel completely. Not the ones that I had done previously, but I just stopped doing them on my channel because I was just mainly focusing on my podcast at that point.
Today we are talking about the unsolved disappearance of 20-year-old Vanessa Gillen. So this is a fairly new case, and you guys were very, very adamant. You flooded my DMs and my inbox talking about this case, and for very good reason, because the events leading up to Vanessa's disappearance and following have been nothing short of absolutely bizarre.
My audience fans loved the true crime videos. So they were asking, you know, can you bring them back? Like, we want to see them again. And so what I ended up doing is I would film the video for the true crime video as well as recording the podcast at the same time.
There's definitely content that leans one way or the other. I don't think they're necessarily mutually exclusive. I think the best content that is about advocating for a particular case or a particular person who they think is wrongfully convicted, you have to build that narrative and make it really gripping in a way that provokes strong emotions, that provokes moral outrage.
In the past, if someone was going to learn about crime, they basically only had a few options. They could read a newspaper article or they could read a true crime book. And not everyone's readers, right? Not everyone's going to go to a bookstore and pick up a true crime book just randomly. And so I think all these new outlets are just exposing people who would have always been interested in crime into crime in the first place.
When we look back to maybe 5 years ago, most of the channels within this community either didn't exist or weren't focused on true crime. So what we've really seen is just a continuing increasing engagement with this kind of content and these channels.
If you would ask me 2 years ago, I would have said, yeah, it's going to start declining, but it just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
So the pair had drove around and then they randomly just selected a house and they discarded Shirley's body on the front lawn.